Welcome to October, everybody. I hope your reading month is going well. I'm 10 days late at least. I'm not sure when this is going to go up. I'm going to try to do it tonight. We'll see how it goes. But I've been very busy as of late, hence the the full 30 days of no videos. So here I am at the top of the month, more or less, to talk about what I read last month, as well as what I'm going to read this month. But before I begin, I would love to hear what you are reading out there this month. Do you have any spooky, horrific books planned? Or are you just kind of going with the flow, whatever sounds right, whatever feels right to you? Because I know it's very popular for people to read spooky books around this time of year. And while I will say that one, if not two, if not maybe three of the books on this list so far that I have this month are, creepy adjacent at the very least. And I love Halloween. October is my favorite month by far. I tend to read horror and spooky stuff all year round. Yeah, whenever I feel like it. So don't be disappointed if this month is not filled with the most horrific, the most vile books that I'm going to read. But anyway, let's get into it, shall we? So the first book I finished last month, this was a recommendation by an individual on my YouTube channel who commented on an old review I had about the Knock 'em Stiff by Donald Ray Pollock, one of my favorite writers of all time. As you know, I often talk about him fondly on this channel. But he, like me, after reading Donald Ray Pollock's stuff, was wondering where can I find more books like this, because Donald Ray Pollock only unfortunately has 3 books out. And the book that it was funny. He went through a laundry list of names like William Gay and other Southern Gothic writers, searching for something that just scratched that itch, and none of them did, unfortunately, except this individual named Harry Crews, who is quite the character. He wrote The Knockout Artist, is the book that I did read. Now, I'll cut to the chase. Does it feel to the genius levels of Donald Ray Pollock? In my in my opinion, it does not. I really enjoyed it. I said this last time, but it had quite possibly one of the best first chapters I've read in a book in, oh my God, I can't even think of how long. It really knocks you out, right? It hits you hard. It's a great hook chapter scene, just like in a film, right? When they try to grab you, and then you hopefully stick around for the rest of the ride. The rest of the ride in this book, there are some high notes, but I feel like it kind of drifted quite a bit. And while I appreciated the thematic ending, let's say, it didn't really stick with me. It didn't have that resonance, that final note that is struck at the very end of a book that really sticks with you. But I haven't talked at all about what this book is, right? So let's start there. So it's about a guy. He's down on his luck. He's trying to just make a living. He's from Georgia, I believe, Atlanta, and he comes to Louisiana seeking work and trying to find his lot in life. And he becomes a boxer, a failed boxer, and then he finds this gift. He discovers this gift where he can knock himself out, and it becomes somewhat of a novelty. And he's paid handsome sums, at least relatively so, by many people to knock himself out in their presence in various ways, which I'll get into in the review, because I promised this individual that I would do a review for at least for a thank you, a sort of appreciation that he decided to read a bunch of books searching for the glory that is Mr. Pollock. But this book, I enjoyed it. I do recommend it. To me, it really illustrates the fact that I hate sports. I'm not sure if you guys know that out there. I'm just not interested whatsoever. I'm not interested in boxing at all. This book, while it is rooted in boxing, it's foundational in boxing, it's about so much more. It's about it's a character study, of course. It's about this guy who's trying to not find himself, so to speak, maybe a little bit, but find, just earn a decent living, have some success, because he comes from a very poor household. But it's a great example of how potentially the subject matter, or at the very least the sort of surface level subject matter, even if you're not interested in it, the story, the masterful work of the storytelling and the characterization of this book really pulls you in regardless, right? Maybe masterful is a strong word, but I'll talk more about Harry Crews too in the review, but he is a hell of an individual. And it's S.A. Cosby, I believe. He wrote the introduction to this novel, and he writes a bunch of kind of, I don't know, crimey, gritty novels. I learned a little bit about Harry Crews in there, but I'm not going to spoil it for you quite yet. Let's just say he's an interesting, he had a crazy life. His philosophy was that he felt that you had to you couldn't truly write until you lived something, right? And boy, did this guy live. In fact, he has an autobiography of the first handful of years of his life, and then also a biography was written about him by somebody else, of course. But anyway, I'll move on. I recommend it. The Knockout Artist, go check it out if you're looking for something that's gritty, that has just a lot of heart. It's not terribly long. I think it's under 300 pages. But anyway, let's move on. The second book I read was In the Miso Soup by Ryu Murakami. This book is about a young man who is in Japan, and his entire job is to take when Americans or foreigners come over to Japan and they want to get laid, they want to do drugs, they want to partake in the the unsavory parts of the I don't want to call it the underworld, but the the underbelly maybe of Japan. He takes them around, right? There's even a magazine that's published that shows you all the spots. And so an American approaches him and asks him to lead him around. He pays him money, takes him to get drunk and find ladies of the night, let's say. But he turns out to be I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's these strange murders going around, and the guide, whose name is Kanji, I believe, if I remember correctly, he believes that this guy is killing this. Actually, there's one killing at the very beginning of the book, and he believes that this person is tied to that murder. I'm not going to tell you if he is or if he isn't, but this is a very brutal book. It's a very deliberately paced book. It's a very short book, but I guess the brutality of it is only toward the end, maybe toward the middle, and then toward the end, mostly toward the middle. It's kind of hard to define this as horror. I feel like what it did well was that I was never bored, even though nothing was really happening for the first 100 pages or so, maybe, other than these two guys, the American and the Japanese guy, going around Japan. That's all that was really going on. I guess there were kind of like weird observations from the Japanese guy Kanji that was piquing your interest as a reader, maybe. But it was interesting. It's a good read. I would say I do recommend it. I wouldn't say that it's a very memorable book, though. There are some good things about it, but it does definitely still suffer from that mechanical writing style that you often see, that I often see in Japanese novels that are translated into English. So it's not the worst that I've read by far, but it just fails to feel genuine. It fails to feel real. The dialogue, some of the observations, some of the language. Granted, I know this is all on the translator, but I'm beginning to see a pattern. I really believe it's the way that the Japanese prefer to write stories and the way they want to convey ideas and the beat by beat stuff and the dialogue. It's very different from a Western POV in the sense of it doesn't feel conversational. It doesn't feel like emergent, if that makes sense at all. But again, this is not the worst book I've read that has been translated from Japanese to English, but I no longer think it's the fault of the translator. I've read enough Japanese books to know that I think it's a cultural thing, so that may or may not be for you. But this one's short. It is definitely graphic. I'll leave it at that. And I do recommend it. I don't think it's a great book, but it's worthy of your time if you're looking for something in the vein of what I've explained already. Okay, the third book that I didn't read, almost read, tried to read, was The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. I think I'm done with Le Guin. I made it 2 chapters into this book. It doesn't matter what it's about. There's these there's like a moon and a planet, and this guy comes from the sister, world down, and he's of course very different from a very different culture, and you can tell that Le Guin is playing with more progressive ideas, let's call them, in a less progressive society, and it's just again, it's a product. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that because I've read other books that have been very good that were written about the same time, but it feels like it's got the Heinlein syndrome where it's just too much idea, not enough characterization, not enough immersion, not enough just storytelling. It's just ideas after idea after idea spoken out in dialogue, and you guys know that is a real big pet peeve of mine because it's an incredibly lazy way to convey things, right? You want to show, don't tell, okay? I'll leave it at that. This book was not for me. 2 chapters in, I had enough. Couldn't stand it. Let me know your thoughts. I know a lot of you guys out there warned me in the last video that you either were bored to death, bored to tears, even at the very least. Did not like it. I did not like it. I will probably never read another Ursula K. Le Guin book again, unless you guys out there have a recommendation that you feel just kind of subverts all of these problems that I'm having with her. So yeah, I don't recommend The Dispossessed. Not even the first 2 chapters. Okay, so I snuck another book in here. I bought the audiobook. I had the ebook as well. And something about the cover caught my eye. It's called Wild Dark Shore. It's by Charlotte McConaughey. Is it McConaughey? Like the all right guy. But anyway, this book, it's not perfect. It's good. I recommend it. It's about a family who is living on this island called Shearwater, and it's over in Australia, and there is a seed vault there, and there is a lighthouse there. Yes, there's a lighthouse there. And there was kind of there's scientists that were doing experiments over there. But anyway, there's a family who is there as a caretaker. It is a man and his 3 children. And they've kind of become very isolated because it's a far off random island. The sea itself is destroying this island, just stone by stone, basically. And that's a great metaphor or subtext, I should say, for what is happening. But it's a family drama. I was hoping it was going to be a more literary work. Whereas it is a literary work, however, I feel like the writer was leaning far too much into a thriller / mystery, but I forgot about the mystery. And the mystery is a woman washes up on shore, right? So there's a strange woman washes up on shore, is discovered by one of the children, and they're trying to figure out her story. But then also she's trying to figure out their story. And it's a multi-POV exploration of this family as well as her and why she came, what she left behind, what she is seeking, and beautifully written. I love the way the POVs were done. Very short chapters. They're named chapters, but again, very short. It has that quality, just very similar to another book I'm going to talk about, the final book that I read that you guys recommended me to read and chose, is that it feels almost like a film where and I know this kind of goes against a lot of things that I look for in fiction, in that not a lot of these POV breaks or chapter breaks are complete scenes. And I still liked it. I still really loved it because a lot of times in a film where I feel like if you want to study scene writing, study film, even if you're a novelist or a short story writer, study films, because films are about the economy of storytelling. They cut everything else out that doesn't matter, and they only leave in what is necessary. And I think that's a beautiful, great way to look at writing in general, storytelling in general. However, I think there is merit in this approach where it is kind of, I don't want to say staccato, fragmented. Fragmented is a good word for it, where there is segues, though. There's beautiful segues, which I often talk about when I talk about writing, where a thematic element, a visual element, something kind of leads into another thing that is on the surface doesn't seem related, but is in a like I said, a metaphorical sense, or even a visual sense, or auditory, whatever it might be. And this just has so much emotional weight to it. I love the characterization. It was really, again, also the prose, beautifully written. One of my favorite things about this book is there is a young boy named Ollie, and he was born on this island, if memory serves. And he's obsessed with the seed vault, and he's obsessed with just learning about nature and all that stuff. And every one of his POV chapters is kind of talking about a particular seed or talking about a particular animal, like a migration pattern or something like that. But if you read carefully, you'll see that the entire chapter is metaphor, not only for, or subtext, not only for what this child, like what he's experiencing or how he views the world, and how not only he views the world, but how it appears as if he's using these things as kind of a shield, right? To protect himself from something, from the lack of being exposed to society at large, right? And that's something to really ponder, I think, is that sense of isolation. Like, what is it when a young child is brought up on an isolated island with only his family, more or less? Granted, there were scientists and stuff there, but a very small population of people. Like, what is that like? How does a child develop? Because we are social creatures, even the most antisocial of us out there. And I kind of count myself in that camp. But we're no matter what, like we crave human connection, right? And not just virtually like we're doing right now, but in person. And anyway, I'm going on a long tangent, but I would just like you to know that this is a great book. It kind of, toward the end, it fell apart in such a way where I was talking about how I really wished she would have leaned more into the literary aspect of the writing and not so much into the thriller mystery thing, because there are a lot of connections, right? There are a lot of loose ends that she really tries to make connect at the end, and I think she does successfully. However, I don't think she needed to be so tight with that aspect of things, because to me, this book felt like a meditation on life and family and love and loss. And, sometimes things just happen, right, in life. Like, not everything just feels like it's so buttoned up, right? It not everything has a beautiful bow in the end, and that could have been honestly another great commentary on just what she was trying to get across. So yeah, Wild Dark Shore. I recommend it if you're looking for something like that. The setting is amazing. I love the atmosphere. It's cozy but claustrophobic in a way. It's isolating. I'm a sucker for lighthouses, as you guys know. But yeah, I recommend it. Go check it out. I don't think I'm going to do a review on it unless you guys would like me to. I feel like I've said quite a bit so far. This video is, running too damn long. All right, let's move on to the fifth. Well, I didn't read The Dispossessed, so we'll say this just the final book I read and actually completed in September was Negative Space by B.R. Yeager. You guys out there voted for me to read this one and review it, and a review is going to come very soon. It'll probably be the next video I put out, because I owe you guys this book. This book, it's like nothing I've ever read, which is a great thing. I'm always looking for, or at least very pleasantly surprised when I read a book that is doing things that I haven't seen done before, that is kind of throwing writing craft just to the wind, so to speak, here and there. Granted, this book is, I would say, very well written for the most part. It just has this plotless kind of flowy vibe to it that fragmented yet again, which I really liked. But what is it about? What is it about? If you guys haven't heard about it, it is about it takes place in Kinsfield, which I believe is a fictitious, one of those words, town in New Hampshire. And it takes place, I believe, in the same time the book was published, which was in 2020. And we all know COVID was going around. And I watched the Better Than Food book reviews guy review this book, and he was trying to pull some meaning or parallels between the narrative and what happened with COVID. And sure, I'm really not that kind of reviewer. I don't like to just pluck intent, I guess, too much. I try to guess sometimes, but it's not really what drives me in a story or what immerses me. So I often don't think about that stuff as much. But anyway, it was written, or it took place around that time. there is there's like a series of suicides that has been happening for decades and decades and decades. And among those suicides, there is a drug called Worl, WHORL, and it's always depicted in caps, all caps, in the story. And it's like a leaf, it's like a purplish leaf, and this group of these kids, I would say the cast of the novel is really primarily 4 kids. 3 of those kids, teens, here I am calling them kids. I'm old, they're kids. They're the POV characters in this entire novel. The 4th one, while he plays the most central role of the entire story, is not a POV character. And how to explain this book? So they do this drug, and they assumingly hallucinate these thread-like black threads are coming out of their noses and out of their eyes and stuff. And it kind of turns into almost a folk horror novel with ritualistic things going on. It's very sexual. At least it gets very sexual in parts. It doesn't try to shy away from violence or sex or anything like that. It feels very, feels kind of emo. It gave me the vibe of, you know the group of kids I'm talking about, right? They wear black. They might have blue hair, purple hair, pink hair, something like that. They have tattoos. They do drugs. The world's out to get them, man. It's like, oh, I got all these problems. I just want to be emo and write dark poetry. It's kind of like that, but it didn't bother me too much. I would say there's some parts in it where I'm like, I was rolling my eyes a little bit, and I felt like the author was going a little too far into, I don't know. It felt like he was reaching too much, but overall, really enjoyed it. I'm going to do a full review, of course. I do recommend it. So if you want to pick up the book before I review it, if you're curious about it or curious, God, I can't talk. If you were curious about it, go check it out. I recommend it. And thank you guys for not only selecting, but voting on this one. And I have a bit of a story to talk about in the review, and I won't leave it here, but let's just say this book found me, right? In some mysterious way, through YouTube, but by other means, which I'll talk about. So that was it for September. Holy crap, 23 minutes in. What are we going to do, guys? Well, we're going to talk about what I'm going to read. First book, Mystic River by Dennis Lehane, because that book has been one I've always wanted to read after reading The Drop by Lehane. I was incredibly impressed by his writing style. And even though it's a short, very simple book, my buddy Britton, Samoki dude here on YouTube, said Mystic River is his magnum opus. It is his most epic work, his crowning jewel, I guess you could say. I finished it already. I know I'm already, over a weekend, so it makes sense. I had a book a week. I'm not going to go into my full thoughts here because this is supposed to be a wrap up, right? TBR, not necessarily like hey, let's talk about. Anyway, I'm rambling. I really enjoyed it. The thing that I feel like Dennis Lehane nails, like I would argue like no writer I've ever encountered, in that he has some serious literary merit, fantastic characterization, amazing prose, but he also strikes that, great plotting as well, but he also strikes that, I hate to use the word mainstream, but kind of mainstream, in that I feel like this book would appeal to a wide audience, probably why a lot of his films have been adapted, because Hollywood sees it and they see how it is marketable. They see how it's going to be appealing to a broad audience. And so it gets made, because we all know adaptations, like, there's a lot of risk in making movies. So books that are a little more fringe, let's call them, have a smaller chance of getting made into a film. But it's amazingly, as a writer myself, I'm always fascinated when somebody can have commercial success, but also be a very well-written writer. I think those kinds of writers are very, very rare, because most people, they, as a reader, you tend to, and I'm generally speaking here, because I know you guys who watch these videos on my channel, you guys are amazing. You guys want the cool stuff. You guys want the subversive stuff. I'm always amazed when somebody strikes that balance of being, like I said, commercially successful, but telling some really deep storytelling. And so if you've always been on the fence about Dennis Lehane because you thought he fit into kind of a James Patterson role, or a you know what I'm talking about, the run of the mill thrillers that are the airport books, he's doing so much more here. And I'm glad you guys voted on this one, even though it didn't win. It came in second. You just kind of brought it to my attention again. Really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. I'll talk more about it in my wrap up, which I'll try to get out a little sooner. But the second book I'm going to read is a book that I read back in high school. It's probably very cliche of me to read this book in October. That is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. The reason why I'm reading this book is because my daughter is reading it right now in her English class. If you guys didn't know, everybody on my Discord knows this, but my Memory Police read-along book club series, it kind of like blew up because apparently the Memory Police became a book that is required reading on English reading lists all across the world. Because, yeah, tons of views, tons of comments, people joining my server, trying to ask my opinion on, or trying to have me give answers on their clearly English questions for the class. So anyway, I thought I would do this because she and other people out there, I think, would benefit from it, right? Because the read-along book club, I haven't done one in a while, but it's kind of a summary, it's a commentary, it's where I take it very slowly and talk about it in depth, kind of like a Cliff's Notes, I guess you could say, a visual Cliff's Notes, or Spark Notes, whichever one you guys are used to. And I don't know, I thought it'd be fun to do because not only have I not read it since high school, I tried to read it again, I don't know, a few years ago and just could not get into it. So I feel like now is the time to take it slowly, to really, hopefully appreciate the words of a young Mary Shelley. And yeah, so that's going to be the next one I'm going to read. So if you guys are interested in a very slow read along book club series of videos, I think it's going to be 3 at the very minimum. Anyway, I'm rambling again, aren't I? Hang out, subscribe if you want to check those out. All right, so the third book I'm going to read, this is another one that Carol Wainwright, who has a fantastic YouTube channel, go check him out. He reads all over the place. He reads books you've never heard of. And it's really cool because he also reads books you have heard of. So you get kind of anyway, he's a cool dude. Go check him out. He's recommended this book to me, oh man, at least twice, if not more times. That is After the First Death by Robert Cormier. The strange thing about this book is it is a young adult novel. I hate young adult novels. I can't get into them. But he tells me, at least his review said, that this is so much more than a standard young adult novel. It's about a, what is it? I got it right here. Yeah, there's a terrorist who is hijacking a summer camp bus full of children. Sounds like it could be nasty. Sounds like it could be brutal. I'm in. I'll give it a shot. So Carol, this better be damn good. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure it'll be good. It's horror adjacent, maybe a little bit. We'll see how it is. Could this be the first young adult novel I actually read and love? We'll see. But The Hobbit, I guess we count The Hobbit. I really like that book. Okay, the fourth, well, this isn't really a book. It's a graphic novel. So if you guys want to come join in this read along, we have a buddy read on my Discord server. And we voted on a bunch of graphic novels. The one that was chosen was Plunge by Joe Hill, the son of Stephen King. We're reading the first volume. It comprises the first 6 issues. It has it's about a missing ship, right? It's about a ship that goes missing. Man, I'm really good at talking about books, aren't I? And that's about all I know. I didn't really read too much about it. It seems like it has The Thing by John Carpenter vibes. There's a lot of Lovecraftian references in it. The ship, for instance, is it's called the Derleth, or the Derleth, depending on how you want to pronounce it. August Derleth. Derleth was, I like Derleth, was a contemporary, well, kind of a contemporary, more like a student of Lovecraft, let's say. So, and there's a character, a captain of a ship, I think, right? His name is McReady. So you know McReady from the Thing, the film, Kurt Russell. So yeah, I don't know. It's okay. I've only read 1.5-ish issues so far. It's not bad. It's not bad so far. But that's it. So the final book, and holy shit, I apologize, guys. This video is 30 minutes long. You guys know what to do. You guys out there get to choose the final book I'm going to read in October, whatever it is. Let the let the masses have what they want, and it will guarantee a full review because I'm clearly doing fewer reviews in this channel. So maybe there's some value there. I don't know. Drop your suggestions down in the comments below. Upvote your suggestion. You can even upvote your own. Upvote the ones you like. And what I do is I will take the top 4 of those upvoted titles. Don't forget to upvote. And then put them in a poll. You guys will vote, and then that will be the final book I would read in October, and it will be reviewed. Guaranteed a video review here on the channel. So I'll leave it at that. If you guys watch this whole thing, man, I apologize if my energy is lower, but it's the end of the week. I did a lot of traveling for work, and I'm really freaking tired right now. So I'll probably go read some Frankenstein, get caught up on that so I can get these videos out. And yeah, Negative Space coming soon. Let me know if you guys are reading any cool stuff in October. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. I know this channel's been dead for a little while now, but I think things are coming back, right? I think we're gonna get back to at least one video a week, if not more. We'll see how it goes. And thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.